Michelle Hung,
And I'm Hallie Pellish.
and we're both planning members of the Environmental Action Fair this year, and we're both student representatives and associate members of Sustainable Westboro. We will be facilitating the student panel from Mill Pond today. So first question is, what's your name and grade, and why are you interested in fighting global warming?
Hi, my name is Ariana Dubey, and I'm a 6th grader in the Sustainability Squad at Mill Pond School. I've always been interested in taking action on global warming because I want everyone to have a fair chance, and I know that even little things make a difference. I believe that future generations and animals, everything from the platypus to the all-important honeybee, have not caused global warming and should not suffer the effects of it. Climate change is a source of many wars around the world, as well as a cause of food insecurity. When temperatures soar, extreme droughts strike, and weird weather occurs, crops don't grow. This causes a worldwide food crisis. Global warming is a daily part of life in the current generation. I have embraced the importance of addressing this by learning all I can about climate change. For example, I attended a week-long Model UN Institute at Harvard about our world's climate crisis. At home, I make a conscious effort to do things such as composting, recycling, walking places, turning off the lights when they aren't in use, avoiding single-use water bottles, and putting on a sweater instead of turning up the heat when I get cold in the winter. I was also deeply inspired by a meeting that I was very fortunate to have with high-ranking UN official Rachel Kite. She reinforced that although policy changes take time, they are ultimately highly beneficial. And above all, she helped me to appreciate that our generation has to care. Climate change can be noticed on a day-to-day basis too. I went to Acadia in February. The beach looked almost like I was in the tropics, but I was actually in northern Maine. This winter, there were no frozen ponds to ice skate on. I've also seen rapid changes that a pond my family has gone to for multiple generations. Yet, we're lucky. All across the world, people suffer from much worse effects than no ice skating and low water levels. We have to work together to tackle this pressing issue.
Hi, I'm Arya Raj and I'm in 5th grade. I'm part of Green Squad. When I first heard about climate change and global warming, I was hurt. The Earth's surface temperature was rising, which caused harmful effects to living beings. According to NASA, the Earth's average temperature had increased about 1.8 Fahrenheit over the past 1 century, making 2016 the warmest year on record. The temperatures were and are still rising at a faster rate each year. I was astonished when I heard about this. I researched more about climate change and its harmful effects on life. In a century or two, Earth will be much warmer than what it is now. Life on Earth is gradually dying because of rising temperatures, which cause droughts as well as floods. Plants, animals, and human beings are affected badly due to these harmful effects of climate change. I don't want this to continue. I want this huge change to stop. If everyone does their part towards taking enough steps to stop climate change, it would create a great impact. I want to do my part and bring some awareness about this. It's not too late to take action now. It's now or never.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Jane Wang, a 6th grader at Mill Pond, and I'm deeply committed to tackling the pressing issue of climate change. I firmly believe that its severity can have far-reaching consequences for our lives and the delicate balance of our ecosystem. Even as a small child, I've heard of climate change in multiple levels, even if it was an ad in a cartoon I was watching. After participating and winning first place in a school science fair in 2nd grade, I learned about climate change. It was then that I realized how important it was. In the digital world, we often come across distressing images that show the harsh realities of climate change. From fish struggling in oil-covered waters to deforestation displacing hundreds, if not thousands, of jungle animals, and even turtles suffocating under the weight of plastic bags and straws. Let's not overlook the heartbreaking sight of polar bears desperately leaping from one shrinking ice chunk to another in the freezing Arctic seas. Yet, these examples only scratch the surface of the immense impacts climate change brings. It is necessary for us to take action and instigate change.
Hi, my name is Sanvi Singh and I'm in 6th grade sustainability squad and I'm very passionate about climate change. When I was in 5th grade, my class did a play about how littering and wasting energy affects our planet. That was when I got into environmental changes. When I got to 6th grade, I joined the sustainability squad to do my part in helping even a small portion of our world. As my class and partner classrooms started focusing on environmental changes, that shook me up, and I felt mad and frustrated when I got to know that our environment was getting worse and worse every second. I started focusing on climate change, which interests me the most. I got deeper and deeper into climate change, and guess what? Every day, you and your family get a chance to fight climate change, but not all the people in the world even know what climate change is. I felt like since I was one of the people who fortunately, from teachers and research, knew what climate change and other environmental threats were, I had to do my part. I started researching the effects of climate change on endangered animals, which interested me the most.
Hello everyone, my name is Tirta Nair. I'm in 6th grade and part of the 6th grade sustainability squad. When I was little, I used to watch PBS kids shows about nature, but I didn't think about how humans affected the environment. But when I was in 2nd grade, my friend and I made a video on a research project about climate change and ocean pollution. Every day I learned something new, and I started to realize how important it is to take care of the environment. Ever since then, my friends and I would pick up trash and make posters around the neighborhood about climate change. It was recently I learned that if we want to stop this growing problem, we need to come together and do as much as we can to stop it. Even if it's a little thing, like bringing a reusable water bottle or not keeping the tap on while you're brushing your teeth. We all need to play our part to bring climate change to an end.
Hi, my name is Ian Palace, and I'm in the 6th grade sustainability squad at Mill Pond School. As I got older, I started to realize that the world was anything but perfect. I started to get interested in climate change and saving the environment. I'm also extremely interested in cars, and with so many electric, hybrid, and even hydrogen-powered cars popping up in the market, it was a hard topic to ignore. As I researched, I started to realize the widespread effects of climate change. Recently, I read a book by Alan Gratz called 2 Degrees. It explains the hardships that kids go through due to these effects. The story made me realize even more how this topic is not in the future, it is now, and we have to do something about it.
Our next question is, what are you and your family doing at home to fight climate change? And first, we're going to hear from Jane.
You might question how you, one out of the staggering 8 billion humans living upon the earth, how you could possibly influence what climate change and the very big thing that's happening across the world and how you could help it. The answer lies in taking small yet impactful steps to reduce our carbon footprint. Did you know that according to the University Corporation for Atmospheric Research, the average person generates between 4 to 16 tons of carbon dioxide annually? Now, try to fathom the impact if all 8 billion individuals were contributing to such emissions at the same time. That is what we are doing to the Earth today and every day. However, the question remains, how do we stop this? One important way people are helping to fight climate change is by saving energy. This means using less electricity and gas, which can release harmful gases into the air. There are simple things we can do, like using LED light bulbs and turning off lights and electronics when we're not using them. We can also make our homes more efficient by insulating them and using thermostats that automatically control the temperature. These actions not only help the environment, but also saves us money on bills. Another way is by using renewable energy. Instead of relying on unsustainable sources like fossil fuels, coal, and oil that cause pollution and contribute to climate change, instead use renewable resources. For example, wind power, hydroelectric power, etc. These helps us combat pollution on a larger scale. Saving water is also important for fighting climate change. Being mindful of how much water, it's a simple thing, but it can help us a lot. These are just some of the things we can do at home, including what my family does at home to combat climate change. But there's also reducing waste and recycling, choosing sustainable transportation, being mindful of what we buy and consume, and what kinds of food we eat. In conclusion, there are many individuals contributing to the fight against climate change by conserving energy, using renewable resources, saving water, reducing waste, choosing sustainable transportation, being mindful consumers, making smart food choices, and advocating for change. We can all play a part in protecting our planet for future generations.
Next, we're going to hear from Adia.
There are many ways me and my family try to help fight climate change. Some of them are the 3 R's: reuse, reduce, and recycle. Reusing items helps decrease the amount of energy used to manufacture a product. Recycling helps reduce greenhouse gas emissions by reducing energy consumption. Together, me and my parents reuse plastic bags to store items. We recycle paper and other recycled materials too. These small acts can really create a huge impact on climate change. We all try to reduce the wastage of food and other trash items. Greenhouse gases are released and food rots in the landfill. Reducing the amount of trash we throw away helps reduce the amount of greenhouse gas emissions. You can do the same to fight climate change. We also try to walk, bike, or take public transport. These 3 things help reduce greenhouse gas emissions. As a family, we always try to walk to places instead of taking our car. Sometimes we even bike. This helps the amount of greenhouse gases stay balanced. Another thing we do is considering our travel. As Jane said, airplanes burn large amounts of fossil fuels, which in turn results in more greenhouse gases. Taking fewer flights will help reduce the amount of greenhouse gases. My parents and I try to take trains whenever it's possible. Trains burn less fossil fuels compared to airplanes. You should do this too. It would create a huge impact in the difference of greenhouse gases we have now. We also try to save energy. Saving energy helps decrease the amount of fossil fuels used. This results in less greenhouse gases. My whole family switches off lights when they're not in use. Even if a little amount of greenhouse gases is reduced, it would still help stop climate change.
Our third question is, what effect of climate change concerns you the most? First, we'll hear from Tirta.
Climate change has many problems, with most of those problems branching into more problems. I can't say all the problems, even I'll get bored listening to all of them, but here are some important ones. Number 1, rising temperatures. From 1901 to 2022, the world temperature increased about 2 degrees Fahrenheit, 1.1 degrees Celsius. Earth Observatory said, in the past, a 1 to 2 degree drop was all it took to plunge the Earth into a little ice age. A 5 degree drop was enough to bury a large part of North America under a towering mass of ice 20,000 years ago. Rising temperatures also make storms stronger. Take hurricanes, for example. Hurricanes need more water to get formed. The warmer the water, the stronger the hurricane. And climate change helps make the perfect ingredients to make a deadly and costly hurricane. We can also see the effects of rising temperatures in our daily life. For example, during April, we had some very unusual weather. I'm sure you're probably enjoying the 70 to almost 90-degree weather, but this is very warm for April, as the average temperature is around 50 at the beginning of the month and 60 near the end. Look, I'm not trying to say that we should live in an ice age, but I don't want us to live in the Sahara Desert either. Number 2, the effect climate change has on ecosystems and endangered species. This is a problem that rising temperatures cause. Species that live in cold areas have to move north or south because the areas they currently live in are getting warm. But there isn't an infinite amount of north or south that animals can go to. Once there's no home, the animal can go extinct. This can affect the entire food web, including ours. Last but not least, cows. One thing that causes rising temperatures is cows. This is because the burps and farts of cows give out methane, a greenhouse gas that is 3 times more powerful than carbon dioxide. Because of the high demand for beef around the world, farmers need to have more cows, which will increase the amount of methane in the atmosphere. This doesn't mean you can't eat beef, just have it less often. These are just some of the things on climate change that I think are very important and that we need to take action on. It really worries me that many people don't care about climate change and are not taking action. The problem that climate change concerns me the most is rising temperatures because of how many other problems it causes. But as I said before, we can only stop climate change if we all take our part.
Next, we will hear from Sanvi.
Endangered animals are a type of organism that is threatened by extinction. There are many endangered animals, and a few of them are North Atlantic right whale, sea lions, red pandas, Bengal tiger. Some reasons of why animals are endangered would be because of poaching, land loss, invasive species, and most importantly, human interference. I could go on and on about so many endangered animals that even I would get exhausted just hearing an enormous list like that. But just think for a second. Why is there such a big list of endangered animals close to extinction? Endangered animals is my top concern about climate change, but here are a few more. Loss of wildlife species, global warming, severe climate change, temperature rising, heavy precipitation events, glaciers and snow covers, seas are warming, changes in rainfall patterns, spread of disease, and economic loss. Endangered animals, like I said before, is something that is my top concern about effects of climate change, and it really depresses me when I hear someone not knowing what's going on about Mother Earth, who made a place for her home, made our lives easier and better. Would you not like your generation to keep thriving and set a path for your families? Then we all have to step in, get our hands dirty to accomplish those goals. Remember, one tiny little thing can make a big difference.
Our final question for the panel is, what do you want to say to adults about climate change? And first, we're going to hear from Ian.
Some adults don't think that climate change is real or that it can wait, but in reality, we need to do something now. While governments and massive corporations have a much bigger impact on climate change than us, people still can have an individual impact. If everyone contributes, we can make significant strides in protecting our environment. One option is buying electric vehicles or solar panels. But I do realize that that is not for everyone, with obvious financial obstacles. It's also important to learn about where our resources come from. The truth about where your food, energy, and gas is coming from can be frightening and persuade you to switch to a more sustainable way to obtain these resources. Speaking out is also a great way to help. We need to acknowledge the problem at hand and not shy away from it. As you can see, kids at very young ages, like all of us, can be very passionate and determined about their ideas, and we are the future of society. We need adults to support us in solving this problem, as past generations have ignored it and left the problem for us to handle.
And finally, we're going to hear from Ariana.
The biggest thing I want to say to adults is that even little things make a difference. From turning off the lights when you're not using them to eating more vegetables, there are many achievable actions you can take to help the environment. According to the United Nations, there are 10 easy things you can start with to make our world a more sustainable one. Some of these are quite simple to achieve in our day-to-day lives, and kids and adults can do them. One of these is to make your money count. You have the ability to decide what your money goes to, so don't support places that are hurting the environment. Kids can try this, but really, we don't have that much money. It's really the adults that can make a difference with their finances. I also encourage you to walk, bike, and take public transportation more. This saves fuel, which is a win-win. It helps the environment and saves you money. Another easy way recommended to create a more sustainable world is to eat more vegetables. Eating more vegetables will save animals, make you more fit, and help reduce methane gases. So think of this the next time you're grocery shopping for the family. I also urge you to speak up. Whether it's to your friends, neighbors, or colleagues, speak up to inform them about climate change and its impacts on our world today. As a youth, I realize there are some things that I don't have control of in life. I can't exactly go out and buy an electric car right now, but I know there are things that the adults around me can do, such as changing the energy source in a house. I appreciate that many adults in this room grew up in a different era, where the effects of climate change were not well known or scientifically proven. But as a kid, I want to let you know that it is not too late to take action. If everyone, young or old, takes small action to help the environment, soon there really will be a change.
All right, now we're going to do questions. So if you have any questions, raise your hand and we'll bring a microphone.
Well, this isn't necessarily a question, but it's actually an even better statement. What a lot of you were saying about burning less fossil fuels too. Well, try this. Don't ever support races that have motor vehicles in them, because that uses up like 15 times more fuel than you would driving on the road. Conoco oil field is not going to support any more motor vehicle races. At least that's what I found out after I ran a credit check over that.
Makes sense.
Thank you very much for your panel. I want to make a statement and then also an appeal to you. I think there's one entity almost on Earth, which is one of the biggest environmental disaster producing, and this is the military, the US military. What can you do? What can we do? Maybe not to honor this entity by tax evasion or something like this. But what we can do also, and I appeal to you, is not to buy new things, to emphasize reusing things. So these are the two entities which I want to emphasize.
I have a question. Please, could you tell me what is like the top one or two things that you would ask me as an adult in society right now to do that would make you feel better about what's happening with climate change?
So what I would say to everyone to help with the environment and make people feel better about climate change is A, to speak up, because this will encourage more people to talk about climate change and know about climate change and be encouraged to act on climate change. And then after that, after you speak up to your community and your friends and your colleagues, and if you're a student, your teachers and your friends, then you can decide what you want them to do to help the environment. So there are many simple things, such as I mentioned in my speech. There are things such as making your money count or changing the energy source in your house. But there's also simple things, such as turning off the lights when you're not using them.
I'd also like to add that I know this may not be for everyone, but some of my friends and family, they have looked into buying solar panels to power their house instead of electricity. So it could be an affordable option for you.
I think adults, I feel like they should really speak out, especially to like if they have like really young kids, and also to other grown-ups. And also I really think that they should like put their money into places that are like sustainable, and also encourage people to like maybe spend more time outside so we use less fuel and energy.
Adding on to what Ariana said, there are many simple ways to save electricity, like what she said about turning off lights, like simple things like that. Or a very big thing is to cut out or vastly cut out the amount of meat you consume.
To sum it all up, I have 3 words: education, advocate, and then take action.
If you could take more of a part in the problem about climate change, what would you do?
Could you repeat that one more time? Sorry, I couldn't hear it clearly.
If you could take more part in the problem about climate change, what would you do?
I would maybe like donate like the very little money I have to like organizations that help the environment. I'd also I'd pick up trash, because I often see a lot of trash lying down like everywhere, school, playgrounds, like downtown. Like, so I'd do that.
For me, like what Tirtha said, I would perhaps look into organizations, perhaps Mass Audubon or nonprofit organizations who care about the environment, and maybe could advocate to others using what apps we have now, perhaps social media, where a large amount of people would see it, and perhaps that's a better way in the current era to spread change. So I'd look into that.
I would like to volunteer a lot more and do more work at the schools that I go to try to make our schools more eco-friendly.
I would like to consider my travel more, because I feel like that is a way that we can easily make a large change in the world. Because if you just take one less long distance flight and instead take public transportation, you can save up to 2,000 kilograms of carbon.
I would save energy, like turning out the lights, and pick up trash around the school or other areas and put them in the trash can. Then I would also try to think, like Ariana said, take less flights and use public transportation more.
Sorry, but again, adding on to what Ariana said, I'd like to state that if you take one shared train ride or bus ride, you'd be saving it would be 100 times better for the environment than if you were to go on an airplane.
Is there an estimated number of how many species are like endangered right now?
Yeah, so the endangered species, it's been impacted a lot, especially with the massive amount of wood logging, overfishing in the seas, and the release of greenhouse gases that warm up the Earth, and it causes, for example, the polar bears in the Arctic seas, they would lose much of their habitat.
I think that there is not an estimated amount of endangered species in the world because every second you get one species that's closer to danger or closer to extinction. All we can do about it is do a lot of things that save endangered species, like stop deforestation or poaching or stop illegal pet trading.
I also wanted, like, this is kind of off topic, but also on topic at the same time. Like, people always say that, like, the species is endangered, it might die soon, and you might not think that species have already gone extinct because of humans, but, like, a lot of species have already, like, gone extinct because of humans, like the white rhino, I think, that got extincted back in 2018 because of human activity. So, like, yeah, we should really work to save all these animals, because even though you think that it might happen in the future and not now, it has already happened.
Adding on to what Sami said, I think that there are so many species in the world, some of them even microscopic, that we can never know exactly how many are endangered, but we can just know that every day that number is getting higher, and we need to work together now to stop that change, because otherwise almost all animals will be endangered.
What do you think is the most common thing that humans do to like destroy our Earth? Can you repeat that, please? I asked, what do you think is the most common thing that humans do that like hurt our Earth?
I would say one of the most common things that humans do in their everyday lives to hurt the environment is driving. Ever since the 1900s, driving has become a daily part of our lives, and even as we get into more sustainable ways of driving, such as hybrid and electric cars, we still do it every day. Most people still don't have an electric or hybrid car, and I think that is a big factor.
I also agree with Ian. Like, I think cars are maybe the most like common thing, because like they because of how much they pollute the environment, and like everyone uses them almost every single day, and still most people have like gas cars and not electric. And I guess also using electronics, like if you don't have a solar panel or like another sustainable way to like give energy to your home, you're probably using fossil fuels, and everyone needs electronics nowadays, so that also.
I agree with what Ian and Tirtha said, but to put it in a broader perspective, I would say the advancement in technology. Because if you think about it, because we became more technologically advanced, cars were invented. It's also the same for large power plants, and it's also the same for electronic devices that require electricity and air conditioning and heating. So I'd say that the advancement in technology is what's causing a lot of pollution. And although we become more aware of what is happening, there have been not so many ways that we've kind of found different paths to not impact the environment so much. For example, Tesla, where we use electric cars. However, that wouldn't really, it's a step, yeah?
I would say the most common thing that us humans do would be lights. I mean, just in the auditorium, there's so many lights going on just for one presentation, which and we use lights almost every day, which is one of our everyday needs, and that impacts the environment a lot. I mean, not unless if you have solar panels, which not a lot of people do because it's still new to the world, but otherwise, I'd say lights.
I think that, like Ian said, like using cars is something which happens daily, and it's really harmful to our planet. So using electric cars or other electric types of transportation, it would help like reduce the amount of fossil fuels used. And like Sanvi said, like turning off lights is something which doesn't usually happen. Like lights are used every day, which are also a common thing that people do.
I think that one of the most harmful things that humans do to hurt the environment is heating and cooling systems. Well, we don't necessarily need the heat to be cranked up to 82 degrees during the winter. We still do it because we think, oh, we're a little bit cold, so we're just going to turn the heat up. But when what we could really do is use the blankets we already have or dress warmer so that we aren't constantly using that heat. Or for example, in the summer, don't wrap yourself up in all of those blankets that you refuse to use in the winter, and instead turn your air conditioning lower and don't use so many blankets. So I think that that's part of why heating and air conditioning is just such a big problem, because you can use it less, but we don't think of it that way, and instead we just crank on the air conditioning or the heat without even thinking.
All right, this is the end of our student panel. Please give a round of applause to all the students here.